What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction video, and in this one we have living in Australia has become impossible. So I got to jump in, sorry about this, make sure, and learn what's so impossible about living in Australia. What's going on in the land down under? We finna find out, and we finna find out if the information we're giving in this video is true. But before we do, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and let's dive in.
For the last 40 years, Australia has consistently ranked among the richest countries in the world. Additionally, the nation has one of the best global reputations, seen as an idyllic paradise with gorgeous sandy beaches, beautiful cities, and incredible exotic wildlife. However, over the past decade, the island nation has experienced an economic decline. Apart from the pandemic turndown, 2023 marked the first time since 1991 that Australia entered a per capita recession, indicating a decline in each person's share of the nation's economic output. Combine this with skyrocketing inflation, slow wage growth, and astronomical housing costs, and you have a cost of living disaster, putting many Australians in the awful position of having to choose between paying rent and putting food on the table. Sydney, Australia's largest city, now has the dubious crown of being the second most unaffordable city in the world. Melbourne and Adelaide aren't far behind, coming in at 7th and 9th respectively. So how did this come to be? What went wrong that's making life in Australia impossible for the everyday citizen? On paper, the nation...
Dang, I need y'all that's in Australia, and if you live in Sydney and watch the channel, I would love to hear what you guys think about that. Like, I know inflation is up around the world. We're definitely feeling it here in the U.S. Like, inflation sucks. Prices just are continuously rising. Rent, food, feel like electricity, water, everything just feels like it's continuously going up. Housing prices for sure. But how is it in Australia? Is it really like becoming impossible? Is it really you're making a decision between rent or maybe putting food on the table, or like how bad is it getting for you guys? I'd love to hear it in the comment section. Or are you guys not really feeling it like this video is portraying?
The nation of Australia should be thriving. If one were to design an ideal nation, the priorities would be an abundance of energy, natural resources, arable farmland, a large territory suitable for expansion, geographical isolation from potential threats, and a well-educated and skilled populace. Australia possesses all of these in spades. The nation possesses huge reserves of iron ore, coal, natural gas, gold, zinc, copper, uranium, aluminum ore, and rare earth minerals. It's also one of the world's most food-secure nations, exporting more than 70% of its agricultural production. Australia, the 6th largest country in the world, spans 9.8 million square kilometers, and due to its isolated geography is well protected from foreign invasions. During World War II, Japan decided not to commit forces to the conquest of Australia due to the massive logistical problems it would create. And for much of the nation's history, these advantages were utilized successfully. Iron ore was in huge demand following World War II in rapidly industrializing nations like Japan, South Korea, and China. With Western Australia possessing the world's largest reserves in massive deposits in the Pilbara iron ore fields, mining and exporting began on a massive scale. Similar advancements were made in developing the coal and natural gas industries. This created thousands of jobs and led to the development of rail networks, ports, and manufacturing plants in the 1950s and 60s, marking the start of an economic boom and the transformation from an agrarian society to a modern industrialized one. The post-war boom period led to the creation of a thriving middle class and the construction of vast suburbs to house its young families. This also marked the formation of the Great Australian Dream, the belief that in Australia, home ownership leads to a better life through prosperity and security. While the American dream focuses on the opportunity for upward social mobility through hard work, the Australian dream focuses on home ownership specifically. This ideal led to a strong preference among Australians for suburban sprawl rather than urban densification. as well as a preference for real estate investment, but more on this later. Unfortunately, for the vast majority of young Australians, the Australian dream of homeownership is now out of reach for all but the highest income earners. Many are now faced with the prospect of being lifetime renters, and even this is becoming increasingly difficult, as rental costs are skyrocketing in tandem. Australia's housing crisis is on the brink of catastrophe. While housing costs in major cities like Sydney and Melbourne have been high for decades, the pace at which home prices have increased since the COVID pandemic is astonishing. Since 2020, home prices around the country have increased by an eye-watering 39.9%. And in major cities like Perth, Brisbane, and Adelaide, the numbers are even higher, at 57.3%, 63.1%, and 64%, respectively. These numbers are
See, like, how can we afford that? And I know we're talking about Australia, but I feel it here too. It's like, how can we afford the prices that homes are going to? They've risen by so much. It's like, and the wages, Australia, they might be going up. In the U.S., they not for real. And so how can you afford that? But I seen some rental prices in Australia. I feel like some places over there are just as expensive as it is over here. So it's just insane. It's just absolutely crazy. Like, a lot of this, I don't know how you get by. I don't know how you afford it. Housing prices being up 64% over time. It's just like, come on. I know wages haven't risen that much. Wages may have risen for you guys, but not 64%. And so it's like, even if somehow you manage to scrape by and get that house, now you got to pay the bills. Now you got to still put food on the table. Now you got it to pay car. It's too much. These prices, somebody got to come in somewhere and start bringing prices down. Have to.
Outrageous, but begin to make sense when you consider Australia's history of mismanaging its housing market. As mentioned previously, the nation is enormous and has plenty of potential land to build on. However, Australians have a strong preference for living in cities rather than rural areas, with 76% of the population residing in its 18 major cities. This preference for low-density suburban sprawl means Australian cities are far less dense than major metropolitan areas in other countries. To illustrate, Melbourne, measuring 9,993 square kilometers and with a population of 5 million, is actually larger than Mexico City, measuring 7,866 square kilometers with a population over 4 times greater at 21.8 million. Similarly, London, with double the population of Melbourne, is 3 times smaller. As a result, the demand for housing in major urban areas is sky high. To accommodate this, the obvious solution would be constructing higher density housing. However, municipal authorities have stubbornly resisted this, resulting in a massive supply and demand mismatch.
Why have you resisted it? Because these people need a place to live, and if you resisting, then you need to have a solution. Somebody got to come up with a solution so people can live at affordable prices.
The reason for the government's refusal to construct high-density housing comes down to current homeowners. Many homeowners, while they might agree that more high-density housing should be built, don't want it built near them due to concerns about property value, or simply...
Of course, I understand that a lot of times... and I'm not even judging you guys that don't want that, because I understand from your perspective. There's a lot of situations where I'm like, we need this, we need it in the world, we need this. But then at the same time, I understand where you come from the perspective of, yeah, we need this, but I don't want it to take away from me. I just want it to happen without affecting me in any way. Completely get that. But at some point, you just have to you have to sacrifice for the good of the many, for the good of the whole, rather than the good of yourself. And it may suck and bring property prices down, and that sucks. And I can't judge you if you don't want it near you. I'm not mad at you because I understand that feeling. But I feel like at the end of the day, people need a place to live, an affordable place to live, and you're saying that the country needs it, but if everybody's like you and they don't want it built near them, then how's the country going to get what it needs? How are these people going to get what they need?
Don't want it built near them due to concerns about property value, or, simply stated, build it but not in my backyard. Couple the not in my backyard phenomenon with municipal approvals that move at a snail's pace, and you have new construction building rates consistently falling over the last decade. In 2023, only 170,000 new homes were built, the lowest figure in the last 11 years.
That's
Meanwhile,
crazy.
Australia continues to import huge numbers of immigrants each year, further increasing demand for the limited housing supply and driving up prices. Speaking of immigration, it's impossible to ignore the effect of migration on the economic crisis. The nation has one of the highest immigration rates in the industrialized world, with 740,000 new arrivals in 2022 alone. With an overall population of just 26.7 million, this represents a 2.77% increase in a single year. These figures are jarring and unsustainable for a nation already grappling with a severe housing crisis. There is a deeper issue here, however. Australia, like its northern cousin Canada, has fallen into a trap of its own making when it comes to immigration. Economic growth is being propped up by importing vast numbers of migrants to boost economies that largely revolve around real estate bubbles. In other words, while a certain level of skilled immigration is necessary for filling gaps in the labor market, importing huge numbers effectively doubles down on a real estate house of cards. Additionally, as new immigrants are more likely to be renters than owners, their impact on the housing market is primarily felt in the rental sector, the very sector the government should manage carefully. New immigrants are also more willing to put up with worse housing conditions and share units, pricing out locals. While the aforementioned issues are certainly alarming, there exists another contributing issue unique to Australia: negative gearing. Negative gearing was introduced in the 1930s as a way to boost the number of rental units during a housing crisis. The concept is fairly simple. Essentially, losses on a rental property can be deducted from one's personal income for tax purposes. To illustrate, let's say you earn $100,000 and have a rental property that loses $20,000 in a given year. You can then deduct this $20,000 from your income, leaving you with $80,000 of taxable income. Combine this with limited interest rate controls and other tax incentives for property owners, and you have a near-perfect environment for real estate speculation to run rampant. This heavily favors older generations who purchase property before the housing bubble, further limiting younger Australians' access to the Australian dream. There is another intangible aspect that's somewhat difficult.
Somebody got to figure this stuff out again. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section. I've heard of negative gearing in multiple videos about the Australian housing crisis. But and I do know Australia is getting stricter on immigration. Kind of seems like they're closing their doors and definitely not letting 740,000 people in. But that's 2.77% of your population when you're already going through a housing situation is kind of crazy to do. I don't know what the solution is, but I pray that it gets figured out. So I want to say everybody to be able to afford to live, not be priced out a lot of these situations, and they don't even have to own a home, but to just be able to rent something.
Put a fine point on. Australians, like other Anglo nations, have a cultural aversion to complaining or being seen as whiners. Perhaps stemming from the British concept of having a stiff upper lip, indifference is now the norm when facing difficult conditions. Whereas the French burned down half of Paris when the government tried to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64, Australians took a retirement age raise from 65 to 67 with hardly a peep. While this can be an admirable quality when faced with adversity, it also means Australians tend to be apathetic towards government failures. Even
Yeah.
notoriously reserved Canada, when faced with massive government overreach during the COVID pandemic, spawned a protest movement that shut down the capital, blockaded border crossings, and forced the government to change their policy regarding mandates. However,
dang.
Australia has yet to see a similar widespread protest movement. For now, it seems Australians are content with tolerating ever-worsening quality of life, ever-increasing housing costs, and the erosion of the great Australian dream for future generations. Unfortunately, it seems things in Australia are destined to get worse before they get better. Apathy
What?
and complacency have allowed things to deteriorate to this point, and without a change in the willingness of Australians to stand up and demand change, there's no reason to believe politicians will fix any of the issues facing the nation. Let's hope the prognosis is not as dire as it seems, and the great nation of Australia can reclaim its title as one of the greatest nations on Earth. If you enjoyed this video, please consider...
I'd love to know. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this video. He did point out, he did give a lot of valid points in this video, and he brought the graphs, he brought the evidence in this video, the statistic, the numbers. So, how do you guys feel? At the end of the day, that's what I'm intrigued to hear in the comment section. How are you guys feeling? Do you guys feel like that you guys are putting up with it without much, I guess, protest? You just got to figure it out. Are you guys struggling over there with being able to pay for things, being able to pay your bills, being able to pay your rent, still keep food on the table? All of this, are you fed up? I just want to know how you guys are feeling. Hit me up in the comment section. That's all we got for this. If you enjoyed this, please don't forget to subscribe, get a video a like, and I'll see you guys next time.